First, a positive note. I want to thank you for your commitment to the Restore Our Parks Act. You stated that at your confirmation hearing. There's been a lot of work recently, as you know. The President has come out firmly in favor of this proposal, as well as permanent funding for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. I know that you had a role to play in that. And as I was thinking about this, I think we're close. We're not there. We've got some legislative consideration, but we can see the light at the end of the trail. And I really appreciate the work and the attention that you've paid to that issue. Look forward to continuing to work with you. I presume this is one where you can give me a yes or no answer. You're still in full support of Restore Our Parks Act?
Absolutely.
That was the answer you gave before. I like that answer. Thank you. A couple of specific questions. In the tax bill that passed in December of 2017, maybe I've lost track, the big tax bill, there was a provision that allowed drilling in ANWR. Could you give us a quick update on the status of that? Are there leases? Have there been an auction? What's the status of drilling in ANWR?
The Bureau of Land Management completed a EIS, an environmental impact statement, a few months ago. We're in the process of completing, and we'll eventually issue something called a record of decision, which is actually the formal decision, which would be the establishment of a leasing program, which is what Congress directed. And then the process, and it's really embarrassing right now because I can't think of the specific date, but there's a mandatory time for us to hold 2 lease sales.
So there's been no
and we lay
no
out
lease
that the
sales.
first one would be within a year of the completion of the EIS.
So there have been no lease sales yet, and we don't know yet whether
As of today, there have not been a lease sale, but I think when people look at the language that was used by Congress, what they're going to find is that these there are a lot of rights that go with these leases if they're leased, and I think that that's going to be very significant in how people think of them.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I've got other.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Senator.
So but the answer is no leases yet, and that's in the process probably in the coming 6 months?
It's absolutely accurate. There's not been any leases yet, and I would think that months is certainly an appropriate statement for a lease sale time.
And of course, if the price of oil stays where it is today, there may not be any bidders, given the.
So I don't know about that, Senator. I have some experience in that space, and I don't think people make decisions based on what
price.
Oil is today. The reality is they will look at what are the rights that they're likely to acquire, what's the the potential of the area, which seems from a technological perspective relatively clear. So there's a lot of factors that go into making those investment decisions, and we're conscious of those.
We'll see how that plays out. Second, this is to stay on oil for a minute, a straightforward yes or no question. Are there plans within the department to proceed with exploration, research, or drilling off the east coast of the United States?
Well, we certainly don't have any present plan, and as we've said, we've spoke about this issue before, and the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act lays out a very specific process. That process involves the development of a proposed plan and then a lot of comment on that. We're not even to that stage yet, and what I believe I committed to you a year ago was that we would visit when we got to that point, and then as we go through the process, it's required that the state's views not only be listened to, but really considered and weighed. And I do not know of a single incident since OXLA passed where a state objected to leasing and the leasing occurred. So that's just the history. And nothing's changed in regard to my view and our prior conversation.
I hope that history holds. Finally, I'm a little worried about moral hazard. The fact that we're talking about Restore Our Parks Act and full funding of land and water conservation, and your budget cuts maintenance and construction and major maintenance by 50%. I don't want us to rely upon Congress having to every 10 years or so deal with the deferred maintenance issue that should be taken care of, as I'm sure you agree, on an ongoing basis. I'm worried about this cut coming at the very time that we're talking about trying to fix this problem.
So,
The line for, it's called construction and major maintenance, it's cut 50%. There's an overall 17% cut to the National Park.
so if you look at our budget, most of our budget for things that you would expect to be maintenance, like painting a room to ensure upkeep and stuff like that, typically doesn't come out of the construction budget. And so from those types of things, I don't think we've backed away from our operations in a significant way at all, and we won't. I mean, the worst thing we could do is get this investment for maintenance, get things up to snuff, and then fall back into this hazard.
My point exactly.
And we're not going to do that. I'm spending, the Park Service is a little frustrated, but I'm spending a lot of time saying if we're going to make major investments like this, we have to have asset management plans for everything. Because what I can't have happen is 3 years later, or 10 years later, or 13 years later, we're in exactly the same soup we are. So we are in the process of completely rejiggering the process of evaluation to ensure that we're up to snuff and moving. And I will tell you that, you know, in many instances, it's been somewhat sporadic, and that's got to change. And, you know, it's easy. Here's what's happened. Our operations budget has declined over time, if you go back and look from 2009 to today. And so people have taken money.
Maintenance is often the first thing to go.
That's exactly what's happening, but it can't be that way. And you know, we have a wonderful opportunity with the parks. With this infusion, we have great relationships on the donation side to ensure that for certain things we have committed O&M, and we just need to be better at our planning and not just make it any superintendent's decision of whatever they want to do, because it's not a very good way to run the railroad, and that's got to change.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator King.